Welcome to the course on how to make $10,000 per month reselling. And there's a ton of prerequisites that you're gonna have to understand before we even get into anything with the roadmap or even what kind of business model that you want to specialize in. But before all of that, let's actually get into who am I? So my name is Warren. You probably found this on investment. This is the page that I ran and that you likely found me through here. But I'm also a six-figure sneaker reseller, and we're talking about profit, not just in sales. And I started reselling in 2017. So like you can see, I would just flip Yeezys. I was in high school, this was the second year. I would flip honestly anything like Burberry belts, Gucci belts. Like I would just go onto Facebook Marketplace, list a product onto there from a different marketplace like OfferUp. So I would do meetups with people, find me a seller, and then find me a buyer, and then connect with those people in that same like 1 week span. But eventually we scaled up, and in 2023, during Christmas season or December that month, I did over 1,000 units sold, and which was about $130,000 in sales income. And of course, of course, you're gonna want to know the net, and the net was $34,000 in profit, a little bit over. But yeah, in 2024, we can say we're doing pretty good. Every single year, I've been able to do bigger and better, pretty much consistently every single year, right? You know, this is a business where when you have more money, the more money you can make off it. But before you get into anything with resell, there's a ton of prerequisites that you have to understand, right? So like first is, what even makes a good flip? What even is reselling in 2024, right? Times have changed. So we're gonna get into that right now. You have to know this before you even start any method of reselling, right? Like this is the basic of the basic. So what is reselling in 2024, right? So there's no more hype drops. Every Jordan or Yeezy is, you could say, a brick. But it's not dead. The market just shifted towards other brands, right? So something really popular right now is Asics, New Balances, Adidas Originals. So that being like Sambas, Gazelles, Campus Zeros, and even like brands like Birkenstocks and Uggs and even Crocs are one of the best sellers. They're even better sellers than Jordan and Yeezy right now. So what you have to understand is if you're a reseller in 2020 to 2022, the market was inflated, right? So, we were making $50 to $100 profit per sneaker. Like that Yeezy that you saw in that other picture, I think I made about $200 off of. It was either 100 off each or 200 off each. Insane margins, right? But now the margins of $5 to $10, 5 to 15 per sneaker, right? So it's a high volume, low margin game. So pretty much what this really is, it's become more of a normal industry. So like your local retail store, they're not making, $30 or 100% returns on every single item. They're making, 10% return, that $5 to $10 margin, right? So you really have to change your mindset on this. We're really just business owners like any other industry, right? So in 2020, we were chasing hype drops, or at least that's what I did. I chased hype drops. I would line up outside sneaker stores. I would really hustle, I guess. And, but now it's more like business owners. We were more like a business owner kind of finding that demand, right? So right now there's a ton of demand in the marketplace. It's spread around everywhere, right? It's not just centered around Jordan. So now you're actually going to have to source and find that demand and then supply those customers who actually have that demand for the product that you're going to source. But it's a good thing right now, right? So I can for sure tell you I've been making more money than I ever have reselling in 2023 and 2024 in any other year, 2020 and 2022, right? It's because we're able to get more volume, and we're able to get more volume because there's less competition, right? So how many people do you know that either was a reseller, right, who either did really good or they just quit? And so in like 2022 to 2020, 2020, I mean to 2022, it was hard to cop sneakers in bulk quantities, right? So you would have to line up for one per pair. You go to Foot Locker, they'll limit you to one pair, but now it's a lot easier to get more bulk quantity, right? So if you want something off like retail stores will put really good product on sale that you can make those $15 margins off of, and you can buy as many as you want, right? Like unless you have maybe like, I don't know, $1 million, you could literally buy hundreds of the same exact item as long as like you have the money for it, right? So now it's more like you're selecting good inventory and kind of selling it like a retailer. You're not really a hustler anymore, chasing hype products, fighting other people. You're just finding good product and selling it because you know it has good demand. And so the thing is, it's a lot more sustainable, and if you're in it for the long game, this is something you can do and really transform your life, right? I mean, you know, back then I was hustling and I really wanted to make it to where I could automate it, right? That's something you can do now. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But if you can do this right now, this is a normal industry, you can operate this business for the long run. So like botters, in-store loopers, and raffles, which is what I did, in-store and raffles, and I had a couple people botting for me. This all died off once that bubble like popped, right? But if you can operate in this environment, this is something you can do for the long term and really transform your life. And I don't want to say make passive income because, you know, I don't really think passive income is true. There's always going to be something you need to fix within the business, but it's going to be less of you hustling. It's more going to like you're a business owner, you're generating money without you actually having to touch your business. So there's multiple avenues of reselling. It's something you have to understand, and you know you're gonna have to pick one that you want to specialize in. But when you're first starting out, you know, we'll talk about this later. You're gonna want to go into dibble and dabble into everything. So one is brick flips. Brick flips is pretty much where you're gonna be buying high demand product from retailers who put them on a discount and sell it onto marketplaces like StockX and Go. Then there's wholesale, where you're going to be sourcing product from other resellers and then selling it to sneaker stores in a bulk quantity. There's outlet flips, where you go to your local Nike, Adidas, New Balance outlet and just flip those products because those are like 50% off retail. And you could either, I mean, you can honestly sell these anywhere. And then there's local flips, so we're going to be buying local sneakers from regular people and just either cleaning them up, flipping them. And there's also sneaker investments, and a big one now is Amazon. And you're gonna learn everything and all these different models in these modules. But this is the first one that you really have to understand, like what really is reselling. And you're gonna have to change your mindset because a lot of people are still stuck thinking that Jordans and Yeezys are the new wave. Like I was talking to some kid and he was like, I'm a Yeezy reseller. I was like, what do you even mean by that? You're not a Yeezy reseller, you're just a reseller. Okay. But yeah, let's keep it moving. So the first thing you have to understand before getting into anything with resale is you're gonna have to learn how to read the market, right? You have to understand what product has demand, right? And what you always want to do is, if you're working out a deal, always refer to StockX, right? So this is where you can view the market price of a sneaker and how fast it sells, right? And you can see how much somebody's currently bidding for it that you could sell right away. So let's talk about that. So when you go on StockX, you're going to see two different, I guess, buttons, right? So there's the buy and the bid button. The buy now is the price that someone is asking for it, right? So if I'm a seller, I'm asking for this much. Somebody could buy it right now. And a bid is what someone is willing to pay right now. So if I'm a seller, I could take that person's bid and sell it to them and cash out. So let's talk about fees. So depending on who you're really like selling to is how you're going to price your product, right? Because end consumers are willing to pay more than a reseller. So you can't reach out to a reseller asking for 10 to 20% premiums on StockX price. They're going to be like, you're cuckoo. It doesn't make any sense, right? So, you know, let's talk about some fees. So the buying fees on StockX is $15 shipping, 3% processing, and taxes. And with that information, you can actually charge buyers more than what the StockX ask is going for, because at the end of the day, they're going to pay about like $40 to $50 above what the actual sneakers market price is. But you can capture some of that and be like, hey, you're going to pay extra $40. Why not visit me? And I'm going to give it to you to 20 above market price, right? Like you're getting it same day. You don't have to wait 2 weeks for this product. Now, if you're talking to a reseller, you're going to base it really off like the sell price, so selling fees. So it's about 10% plus $4 shipping. It changes depending on your seller level, but if you're really working out deals on, you know, with a reseller, you're going to work off that payout price. So yeah, let's talk about payout. Payout is the price that you get on StockX after fees, right? So when you're sourcing something, and sourcing is, you know, if you go to outlet, pretty much buying something, looking for something to buy, you want something around $10 profit above that payout. So if you're pretty much that means you're going to make $10 if you just sell on StockX. And, you know, 20 if you sell locally, maybe even 30. And if you're selling to another reseller, you want to be about $5 above that payout, because, you know, you could easily sell that shoe on StockX and make that, you know, money, but you'd have to sell to another reseller, you want to be a little bit above, so you're getting a good price, but they're also getting a good deal because it's under the quote unquote market price. But they're also able to lower their risk, because if they really need to, they would only lose about $5 by selling on StockX. So another big thing is sales volumes, right? So I like to read it as sales per week. So you just look at the data and see how many sales there are per week. So what I like to do is, if the product is high volume, it's okay to have a lower margin, right? Because it's less risk, right? If it sells quickly, if you can liquidate like a Sand Strata Samba and make like $5 per shoe, and you can sell like, like 5 per day. That's not bad. It's a low risk, right? Because you're keeping it for one day and you're selling it through, and you're gonna make that 25. However, if it's a slow sales volume, you're gonna want to make up for that by having a higher margin, right? So what I mean by that is, like, if a product you see in that size, like a size 10, you check the shoe, it's a size 10, it sells once per week, or maybe even once every 2 weeks. You're gonna want to make sure that there's like maybe $40-$50 margin for it to make sense, right? Because, like, you know the market is always changing. Somebody else could lower that ask by $10 all of a sudden. So something with lower liquidity, I would you should just have a higher margin. So let's move on to how to source, right? So the big thing is, you can't be a reseller if you don't know how to like source products, which is like, if you don't know where to buy the product from, then you have nothing to sell. So there's two methods of sourcing. The two are reseller sourcing and retail sourcing. So with reseller sourcing, this is it goes to different parts of reselling, right? So if you're reseller sourcing, this is going to be your wholesaling, local flipping. So you're buying from a local reseller or a local buyer, and sneaker investments. So you can actually, but like you can see, in retail sourcing, there's also sneaker investments, because there's if you're an investor, you can either buy from retailer or reseller. It doesn't really matter. It just depends on what sneaker you're buying. But for retail sourcing, that's like brick flips, right? So you're going to be buying stuff for under retail, and then selling it for under retail, because it might not sell as fast. So other resellers just aren't willing to buy that kind of shoe off you. But StockX will, somebody like a customer on StockX will. And also, like, drops is going to be like a retail sourcing, so like sneakers app, and also Amazon sourcing is going to be a lot of retail sourcing. So pretty much all you're doing is buying in-demand products at a lower cost than the market price, and then selling them for either market price or a little bit above, and even a little bit below sometimes if you're selling in like very high volume. Like maybe if you're selling 1,000 units, it doesn't make sense for someone to be paying even payout. You might have to offer below payout for them to take all 1,000. So pretty much what you're really doing is, depending on the type of reselling you are like doing, you're either buying from a reseller or a retailer at a price that you think you can sell them for. So an example of a retail flip would be, this feature had the sale, but I bought I think it was about 40 pairs of Salehi Crocs, the Niagara colorway, for 67, and they're selling on StockX for a $77 payout. So it's a $10 profit per. Not too bad. An example of a reseller is, if you're buying, actually bought these pairs of Azure slides from this reseller, and I sold on consignment for 88 payout. So it's about $11 profit. Like you can see in both examples, there's both ways of making profit. It's just two ways that you should open yourself up to. But something you might be asking, like, why would I buy from reseller if you can buy from retailer? Some products are always sold out. That's why you have to buy from resellers. So like Yeezys are always going to be sold out. So that's something you have to buy from resellers, but you can still make profit on it if you're consigning it. And we'll talk about that later, but you can get a higher payout. But yeah, you always have to understand like what's the market price that you're sourcing for, right? Because like you have to know how much someone is willing to pay for the product that you're buying. So another big thing is, now that you know how to source, you have to know how to sell the product that you sourced. So the rule of thumb is, the more work that's required to sell the product, the more profit you'll make. All right, so I'm going to talk about some places that you could sell, and from going from more work to less work. So more work, an example would be Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp. This is where you're going to be taking pictures of your sneakers, and you're going to be talking to people, doing negotiations, and meeting them up. So it's a lot of work, but there's no fees technically, right? Because it's cash transaction, so you can charge StockX price or even higher. So you're eliminating all your fees, and you can charge the upside that you're telling the buyer that you can get it right now, and you're getting it for less than what the fees are on StockX. Then there's eBay, Grailed, and Mercari. So these are like online marketplaces that you can sell to. You don't have to meet up with people. You're just going to ship it, take pictures, and that's going to be a little bit less profit, because eBay, Grailed, and Mercari are going to take a cut of that profit. But another way of even less work, but of course keep in mind this is going to lower your margin, is Flight Club, Stadium Goods, and local consignment stores. So these are all consignment stores where like tourists will be walking into the store and buying it. A lot of them don't know the market price of a sneaker, So they're willing to pay like 20, 30, 40, $50 above that market price. So, just because they see a sneaker they like and they're willing to pay for, whatever price that is. Like, they don't know that a market price of a Panda is like $60. But, they'll see it for maybe 90 and they're like, oh, that's a good deal. Let me go buy it. So, yeah. So let's talk about the least work, which is StockX and Alias, which is GOAT's seller app. This is the least work. You don't have to take any pictures. All you're really doing is finding the listing on there and just selling it, listing it up, and then just waiting for it to sell. And then all you're doing is shipping it out once it's sold. Now, if you're a complete beginner, or even if you have under, I would say, $10,000 in capital, I would recommend you to cross list onto every single platform that you can, right? So what that means is you're going to list on StockX, Go, eBay, Grailed, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace, and OfferUp. This is because if you're first starting out, your only way to grow is by quickly flipping. So everything you're going to do is quick flip. You can't be doing any holds or investing, right? If you're starting with $1,000, you want to transform that into $10,000 as soon as possible so then you can scale. So, and the best way to do that is going to list it onto every single platform and just sell it as quickly as possible. Now that you know how to buy and you know how to sell, we're going to talk about what's the end goal of reselling, right? I mean, this is the end goal of every single business that you create. It's to automate it, right? I'm going to give you some examples, right? Because I want to put into your mind like what you can do in the long term instead of, just thinking that, reselling has to be a hustle every single day to make that money, right? Because that's probably the whole reason either you want to start reselling or you are a reseller right now, is that you want to quit that 9 to 5 or you don't want to live that 9 to 5 lifestyle. So the end goal, I can give you an example, is brick flips. This is the business model that I specialize in myself, right? And so this is an example of kind of how you can automate it, right? So I have a virtual assistant from an international country. I pay him a good salary for where he's from. I mean, they get to work remotely and get a good check, right? So I taught him how to source the product and how to manage my listings. So I can see he's telling me what to buy, and I always can double check it, see if it's a good buy, and then I also taught him how to manage my listings. And with the picture you see in the middle is called KNet. I can give you guys access to that very soon, but if not, it might honestly already be ready for the group. But this is a 3PL, third-party logistics, where you ship your products there, and you can cross-list them onto different platforms like StockX, Go, Kickscrew, and a ton of other platforms, and along with eBay. And you're going to be able to manage all your listings remotely because they're going to pick, pack, and receive it. So when you ship it there, they'll intake it and they'll ship it out once it sells. And so as you can see, with the brick flips, you can automate it by having a virtual assistant, sourcing your product, managing your product, and then at the end of the day, you have sales. Like you can see right here, 570K sales, and that was pretty much all automated. And I'm going to give you guys another example because every single business model with reselling is pretty much automatable, besides outlet flips, because you can't really teach someone how to outlet flip, and if you do, they'll probably steal that whole business model because they can already read the market. They can afford to, it has super high margin. They can afford to pay $100 and make $30 off a shoe. But with brick flip wholesale, it's a lot of people, they don't think it's worth it. So this is an example of Oscar Souls. As you can see in the picture to the left, that is an office space. So this is where he has a team of people who are sourcing, right? So they're buying and selling. That's the office space. And then there's a warehouse team that actually manages the inventory and ships it out whenever the buying and selling team sells it. As you can see in the third picture, that's the whole preparation with the shipping outside. So, all it really is the wholesale side. They're buying, selling, sending it to the warehouse. The warehousing team manages it. And when there's a listing, whenever there's a sale, they ship it out. And if you're the wholesale owner, you don't do any work at all. It's pretty much automated. And, you can even do this with local flips, right? So that, local flips, the end goal would really just to become a local sneaker store where people can come inside your sneaker store, offer their used shoes, offer their dead stock shoes. And, you can have a manager, you're paying them like $30 an hour, $25 an hour, depending on where you're from. to manage your store, and they'll literally be like doing deals for you. They'll be selling your product, and then if people walk by your store, they can buy your product. So those are pretty much different ways and examples you can automate. I mean, that's the end goal with everything of this. So yeah, before I get into the roadmap, that's going to be the next video, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea and some prerequisites of what reselling is in 2024, what it really is honestly, and what's your end goal with reselling and how you can get there, right? I'm trying to show you guys that it's possible. Might take a long time, but it's very much possible. And in the next lecture or module, we're going to talk about a roadmap of how you can go from $0 profit to $1,000 profit quickly, just like that. And then how you can scale from $1,000 to $10,000 profit and upwards, right? So thank you for listening for the first module, and yeah, hope to see you in the next one. Peace.